Chapter 3, Reproduction. Introduction. All organisms must produce new individuals similar to itself after its death to preserve its species. Means the aim of reproduction is to preserve its species and continuity of their generation. If they not reproduce others, it causes to disappear and become extinct. Extinct, disappearing of a population or group of organisms totally, like extinction of dinosaurs. As a definition, reproduction means production of new individuals approximately similar to parents. Sexual reproduction, which is performed by most of multicellular animals, is more complex from asexual reproduction, which is primitive organisms perform. But both types of reproduction has two main states. The first one, collection of pure substance from environment and transmission to new generation. So, like an apple tree, collect the necessary material from environment to produce their seeds, and seeds also take necessary material from environment to grow and to make a new complete organisms. Transmission of genetic material to the next generation. So similar organisms make an individual which is similar to itself, similar to parents. Why? Because in genetic material transported from parents to individuals, they look like one another and they are same species. So by reproduction, the material in environment collected to make a new organism, and also in same way the genetic material transported to next generation in sexual or asexual reproduction. There are many types of organisms in the universe, primitive, developed, but all need to live offspring to not disappear. Again, the aim of reproduction, repeated. Reproduction is different from other life activities like digestion, respiration, circulation, and excretion, the activities which our organisms need to survive. But unlike these activities, organisms do not need reproduction to survive, but they need it for continuity of their generation. So some organisms may not able to reproduce and have no complete organs for the reproduction, but they can have a healthy body for continuity of their life, and they can survive, but they cannot reproduce. Any organism without functional reproductive organ cannot provide continuity of its generation and disappearing of organism. We call it extinction. In some kinds of animal populations, population group of similar organisms, reproduction performed by participation of only few number of organisms. Like an example, in beehive, most of bees are sterile organisms which not able to reproduce. We call them sterile organisms. Sterile female members, female which have no ability to reproduce. Also we can call them worker bees. They have no role in reproduction, but the drones, the male bee, have ability for reproduction, and they are less in number. There is only one female that able to reproduce, which we call it queen. So less number of male and just only one female have role in reproduction in population of bee. There are two general types of reproduction: sexual reproduction and asexual reproduction. Asexual reproduction, some organism can produce new organisms similar to itself by breaking and change a part of body into a new independent organisms. Like in a rose tree, we cut a twig, in another place we plant in soil, and it grow into new independent organism, this small twig. Or a worm, earthworm also, if you divide into two pieces, each of the pieces grow into new, complete, independent organism. This type of reproduction can produce one organism or more. Generally, organisms reproduce sexually when they need to produce a lot of organisms in a short time. Sexual reproduction, most of plants and large amount of animals are distinguished by having male and female members. The male are able to produce the sperm, which is male reproductive cell, and while the females are able to produce the egg, which is female reproductive cells. These organisms, male and female, are different from each other in their anatomy, physical features, and structure of reproductive organs, but these organisms are different from each other in their anatomy, physical features, and structure of reproductive organs. Male and female have differences in their body parts and their physiology. Sexual reproduction is performed by union of male and female reproductive cell passing through a process which we call it fertilization. The definition for fertilization. Offsprings receive different traits from both male and female. What we study in chapter 1 by meiosis, gamete or reproductive cell formed, but in sexual reproduction, union between these two half-numbered male and female reproductive cells by fertilization, new organism formed. So it receives some genetic features from male, some of them from female. Some of these traits, these genetical features, are good and some of them bad for new individuals. There's good or bad, and they have advantage or disadvantage for organism to adapt its environment. In spite of all of these bad features and disadvantages, the advantages are more and dominant, and the individuals adapt to environment and continue to its generation. Sexual reproduction passes into two main steps. In the first step, cells undergo meiosis. The number of chromosomes reduced and results as receive of the half of the original number of chromosomes about meiosis, which we study in chapter 1. In second step, two gametes, male and female, unite in a process called fertilization to form a cell called zygote. The total number of chromosomes in zygote diploid. So haploid male and haploid female union by fertilization for a structure which is formed with diploid number of chromosomes, we call it zygote. Then this embryonic cell means zygote grows into new organism. This growing into new organism, we need to remember the mitotic division in chapter 1, because growth is function of mitosis, while reproductive cell formation is by meiosis. Spermatogenesis, which is producing male reproductive cells. Sperms are formed in testes which consist of large number of seminiferous tubules. Seminiferous tubules, which we're going to study at the end of chapter, are part of male reproductive organ. Cells located at the periphery of these tubules, which are first step in this process, are called spermatogonia with diploid chromosome number. Each spermatogonia passes through a period of growth of series division. Diploid spermatogonia pass through growth and mitosis and growth to form primary spermatocyte. Increase in number by mitosis and also grow in size. The primary spermatocyte undergo first meiosis to form two cells which are haploid, pass through meiosis 1, and the resultant cells have number of chromosomes, and we call them secondary spermatocytes. Each of them passes through the second meiosis division, meiosis 2, to form again haploid cells which equal in size are formed, and each of them we call them spermatid. The spermatid are not mature sperms or reproductive cells. They have no ability of fertilization. So the spermatid undergoes changes in shape and structure to form mature sperms, which has a tail, become ready for fertilization. Also, the chromosome number is haploid. This chromosome number of this structure and their name is important because many serial exam can ask about the chromosome group and ask you not about the chromosome number about 4623 but ask about the haploid or diploid. So spermatogonia, diploid, primary spermatocyte, diploid again, secondary spermatocyte because formed by after meiosis 1 they are haploid, spermatids haploid, and mature sperm also has haploid chromosome number. Again, like this part show a part of seminiferous tubules, such we look at the periphery. Like we call them spermatogonia. They are diploid in number, pass through mitosis and growth stage to form primary spermatocyte. Primary spermatocyte pass through meiosis 1 to form haploid chromosome number. Secondary spermatocyte, which are haploid, pass through meiosis 2 to form spermatids. Also they are haploid chromosome number. Pass through change in shape and structure to form mature sperm in cavity of seminiferous tubules. Generally they ask about the location of spermatogonia, explanation of spermatogenesis, which is male reproductive cell formation, and ask you to draw this part of picture. Naming and chromosome number is important in this page. With each step we need to know the names and chromosome numbers separately. Oogenesis about female reproductive cell formation. Reproductive cells, these germ cells or gametes in female are formed in ovary, while in male we call it in testes. The cells in ovary undergo equal mitotic division to form a group of cells called oogonia, represent the counterparts of spermatogonia. In male, oogonia undergo normal division to increase in number. That oogonia increase in number to form primary oocyte, but primary oocyte one cell. There are many small sized cells which form a layer around the primary oocyte called follicle cells. One distinguished characteristic of oogenesis in female, the divisions takes place by unequal cytoplasmic division. So when primary oocyte formed, number of small sized cells make a cellular layer around the primary oocyte. We call each one of these cells follicle cell. But the primary oocyte and follicle cells together we call them ovarian follicle. Primary oocyte, small sized cells which surround the primary oocyte follicle cells, and these two structures together known as ovarian follicle. Primary oocyte undergoes first meiosis, and the result is two cells being unequal in size. For primary oocyte undergo meiosis 1, but unequal cytoplasmic division, one small and one big. The big sized cell we call it secondary oocyte, but with the small side we call it first polar body. And because they pass through meiosis 1, the chromosome number is reduced to the half. Secondary oocyte, like primary oocyte, pass through meiosis 1, big sized cells, secondary oocyte, small sized first polar body, meiosis 2, again unequal cytoplasmic division. So 3 secondary polar bodies are formed and one ooblast. Big sized cell ooblast passes through the period of growth to form mature egg, ovum or egg cell which have haploid chromosome number. But small sized cell are called secondary polar body, which are 3 number. First polar body undergoes second division meiosis and forms 2 secondary polar body. As a result, 1 major egg and 3 secondary polar bodies are formed at the end of oogenesis, which in female hundreds or thousands of male reproductive cells formed. This figure also shows us the oogenesis. We said the germinal cells diploid, which we call them oogonia, for female, found in ovary, pass through mitosis, division, and growth. We said many cells formed, but one of them big is called the primary oocyte, which large number of small sized cells formed around it, which we call them follicle cells. The follicle cells with primary oocyte known as ovarian follicle and primary oocyte pass through meiosis 1 to form 1 secondary oocyte. The big sized cell with unequal cytoplasmic division, while the small sized we call it first polar body with half number of chromosomes. After meiosis, the first polar body forms 2 secondary polar bodies, and divisions of second meiosis from secondary oocyte form secondary polar bodies with 1 ooblast go pass through some changes to form 1 mature egg, and as a result 3 polar bodies, 1 mature egg formed in ovary. The part of picture we need to know to draw this part, but the ovary at the end of chapter in reproduction in man. We will study one more time in more details